When you really boil it down, business has always been about a promise, right? A handshake, that simple, powerful idea that my word is my bond. But in the super complex world of modern finance, how do you actually secure that promise? Well, we're going to dig into that very question, but through the specific lens of Sharia-compliant finance, where a guarantee is so much more than a contract. It's a deep moral commitment.
So, our guide for this whole explainer is going to be Sharia Standard Number 5. This is the official framework, the rule book for guarantees. We're going straight to the source to really get our heads around the unique principles that decide how promises are kept in the world of Islamic finance.
All right, here's our game plan. We'll start with the basics, what a guarantee actually is. Then, we'll dive into the core principles that make it so unique in Islamic finance. From there, we'll get practical, looking at personal guarantees, see how these ideas work in the real world of modern business, and then we'll wrap it all up by talking about the one thing this is all built on: trust.
So, first things first, before we get into all the specific rules and the nitty-gritty, what exactly are we even talking about when we use the word guarantee?
Okay, so think of it as a safety net. It's kind of like co-signing an apartment lease for a friend. You're not the one paying the rent every month, but you're giving your word and your financial backing that the rent will get paid, even if your friend hits a rough patch. It's all about making sure an obligation or a debt doesn't get delayed or worse, just ignored.
Now, here's where things get really fascinating. Within Islamic finance, a guarantee isn't just some financial tool you pull out of a toolbox. No, it's a moral and ethical commitment, and it's governed by a very specific framework that puts principles way ahead of profit.
And this quote, wow, it gets right to the heart of everything. The entire system is built on this concept of trust, or amana. This isn't just a nice idea or a friendly suggestion. It's a core command to honor your commitments. And believe me, this one single principle shapes every single rule we're about to talk about.
So listen up, because this is the absolute crucial point. Guarantees are there to secure obligations, not to wipe out commercial risk. So you can totally guarantee that a loan will be repaid or that a sale will be completed. But what you absolutely cannot do is guarantee a profit on an investment or guarantee the initial capital in a risk-sharing partnership, what's known as a mudaraba. And why is that? Well, because doing that would completely defeat the whole purpose of shared risk and reward, which is just central to the entire philosophy of Islamic finance.
So we've got these big principles. How do they actually apply to the most common kind of guarantee? A personal one, between two people, or maybe a person and a bank. Let's get into the rules of the game.
It really breaks down into two main types. The standard one is a recourse guarantee. That means if you, as the guarantor, have to step in and pay up, you then have the legal right to go get that money back from the person you helped out. Simple enough. But then there's the non-recourse guarantee, which is really more of a purely charitable act. You step in, you fulfill the obligation, but you do it without any right to claim those funds back later. The process itself is super logical. Let's walk through it. First, the person who originally owed the money fails to pay. They default. Second, the person they owe money to, the creditor, makes a claim against you, the guarantor. Third, you step up and pay the debt. And finally, assuming it's a recourse guarantee, you basically step into the creditor's shoes, and now you can claim that money back from the original debtor. And here are a few absolutely crucial rules to remember. You can put a cap on how much you're liable for, which is smart. You can even guarantee a debt that doesn't exist yet, but will in the future. And of course, you've got to get it all in writing. But look at this point right here. It is not permissible to charge a fee for a personal guarantee. This is a fundamental difference from conventional finance. Why? Because the system sees it as an act of benevolent support, a way of helping someone out, not as a commercial service you're selling for a profit.
Okay, so that's the personal side of things. But how do these principles scale up? How do they apply to the huge, complicated world of modern banking and global commerce? Let's just run through a couple of quick examples.
First up, we've got the letter of guarantee. This is absolutely critical in big industries like construction. So imagine a company is bidding on a huge building project. To prove they're serious and capable, their bank issues a letter. This letter guarantees that if they win the bid but then fail to do the work, the bank itself will pay a penalty. Is an incredibly powerful way to guarantee performance.
Next up is documentary credit. And honestly, this is the backbone of so much of international trade. Let's say an importer's bank guarantees payment to an exporter on the other side of the world. But here's the catch. The bank will only release the payment once the exporter provides proof, like official shipping documents, that the goods are actually on their way.
It's the perfect way to bridge that trust gap between a buyer and a seller who might be thousands of miles apart and have never met.
And finally, there's something called Arbonne, which you can just think of as earnest money. When a bunch of companies are bidding for a big contract, they each put down a security deposit. Now, this isn't part of the project payment, it's a financial guarantee of their seriousness. It's skin in the game. If the winner suddenly backs out, they lose that deposit. It ensures that everyone at the bidding table is genuinely committed to seeing the project through.
So, after looking at all these rules and applications, from a simple personal promise all the way to these complex international trade deals, what's the big takeaway? What's the bigger picture here?
At the end of the day, it all comes back to a core philosophy. Every single rule we've talked about, the ban on fees for personal guarantees, the intense focus on securing obligations instead of guaranteeing profits, all of it is designed to build a system where trust is the central pillar. It's a framework designed to make sure a promise is always, always more than just words on a page.
And that really leaves us with one final big question to chew on. In a global financial system that can often feel incredibly complex and, well, impersonal, what could we all learn from an approach that puts clearly defined obligations and mutual trust right at the very center of every single transaction? It's definitely something to think about.